What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Packers War Room for Epic Mock. Jake Shervink here, of course, doing this over on Weekly Cheddar. Hopefully some folks will start filing in. We're going to make some picks here tonight. We'll talk Dontavian Wicks when we have some downtime for sure. And again, that might kind of affect what we're going to do with a lot of that. So, yeah, let's get that rolling here. I'm going to pull up the Epic Mock. We're going to go through kind of what we've seen so far in terms of what has happened, so we can kind of think about what the board's going to look like, and yeah, and just figure out what we're going to do, because we are up in a little bit of time here. Not too long from now, we'll be rolling, and we want to make sure we get a player we would like and a player that would, make sense for the Packers to keep this predictive. But Mendoza, Bailey, Styles, Love. There were some Giants and Cardinals trades in here. Ruben Bain. So Tate goes to Browns. So a lot of the familiar names for the folks. You look at the receivers that went: Concepcion, Cooper, and then obviously the top trio. A lot of tackles near the end of the first: Freeling, Lomu, Proctor, Miller, all in a row there. And then kind of rounding out the first, you see Malachi Lawrence go to the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunate for Green Bay. Would have been probably a player high on the board there. We get Ian Nachor, Parker, Colton Hood, Keldrick Falk, Chase Besantis to kind of close things out. And then as we move into round two, the Jets take Avion Terrell, Denzel Boston, Ted Hurst in quick succession. Caden McDonald goes, Pregnon, Christian Miller, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Lee Hunter goes to the Chiefs. We have C.J. Allen going to, oh my gosh, this is an absolute terror to scroll through. C.J. Allen go to the Bengals, Gabe Akis, Zion Young, Eli Stowers. Mesidor finally comes off to Baltimore. Golday goes to Tampa Bay. We got Josiah Trotter to the Colts. And yeah, that'll be us in a few minutes. Just a few minutes of time. So it's really going to be about, okay, what are we looking for what do we need? What's available? I think there's one obvious one that I don't remember seeing in here that I think is probably going to be the pick if he's available. But again, we got four teams before, so we'll see if that is the case or not. But I do think that there is going to be a player that is available that we would like to pick there. I do think the Wicks trade maybe throws a little wrench in. We do have an extra fifth now, so that's something I think to monitor as well. But yeah, excited to be a part of this, and I think we're going to get some trades. Philly's moving up to Atlanta's spot here as I'm looking through the chat. Pretty quick. It's going to be pretty quick. There's going to be a lot going on. But yeah. So I'm going to share this again so people know and get this thing rolling here. And might go a lot quicker than we expected, which is great. Love when the mocks go a little bit quicker. Okay, so Philly took Chris Johnson. That was definitely the player to be eyeing there for Green Bay. It's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be tricky, I'd say, at this point, just because it's hard to know. A lot of edge rushers are gone, right? Zion Young and Gabe Akis, players that we've talked about. Everybody at D tackle, the top five, is gone as well. So it kind of leaves the door open for, But yeah, we're just going to kind of keep up. And yeah. All right. Cool. I'm gonna try to catch up as much as possible. But when you look at what Green Bay needs, let's switch over here really fast. What they need, what's available at this juncture. Obviously, I think when it comes to defensive line, right, we lose these guys. Slash those. Slash Lee Hunter. I'm not sure. Has Banks gone is the question. I think he has. McDonald, Miller, Peter Woods. And that's what I mean. I think the one trick of keeping up with this is kind of putting all of these picks in. So I'm going to try and like catch up and sort of do that at the same time. But yeah, I think, I mean, it's not sitting well. I mean, Green Bay's in a position where we could potentially take a wide receiver now, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility, especially on day 2, which we've kind of even talked about that, you know, on other shows leading up in here. So what's going on, Chris? Good to see you. As of now, I'm going to go back to speaker view and I'm going to search just to see. Oh, not here. Here. Okay, so some top players that are still available at this juncture. Caleb Banks. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my absolute best, even though we're up in like 4 picks. I'm going to try and catch up so that we can kind of look at what's available. And I'm not even going to try to make the trades. I'm just going to rush through all of it as quickly as possible here, while keeping an eye on it. Keep an eye on the comments. Keep an eye on Chris and everybody else if anybody else shows up. Because yeah, I think it's going to get really interesting once we get to our pick here, which again should be momentarily. Hopefully, and I can catch this in 5 minutes. I can be caught up with all of these picks here. So Chiefs took McCoy. We got these back-to-back corners, which I think was interesting. I'll bring up the thing here shortly when we can get to it. Oh, Noah. Cowboys took Kenyon Sadiq. That was an interesting one. That showed up in the mock. Very interested in that and how that came about. But they kind of just said, hey, they're going best player available on offense, and that's how that materialized. So Venga went to the Ravens. Cassius from our guy JT, who always takes Cassius. For Tampa Bay, I'm just rolling through them. You guys, if you're listening, we can go through it all and talk about it once we're kind of a little bit caught up. But Fano went to the Detroit Lions, so got a little bit going on there. Thieneman goes to Minnesota. That's something we really didn't want. Rodriguez goes 19th. Concepcion goes 20th in a trade up. San Francisco. Omar Cooper to Pittsburgh. So we kind of had this like later run on receiver and offensive line and kind of defensive line as well. I gotta keep track and make sure we're on the clock. If we're on the clock, which we might be on the clock. No. Okay. Vikings have not picked yet. That's good for us, so we could catch up. Okay, after Peter Woods, it was Freeling. Wow, Philly got Freeling. That's crazy. Philly got Freeling. Got Lomu, Proctor, Miller. Proctor. Blake Miller to move up. The Bills moved out of the first. Not going to make that happen, but Malachi Lawrence went 27th. If I didn't say that at the top, that was kind of unfortunate. As well, Iheanacho Parker. Parker. Hood goes 30th. Falk. Again, just kind of getting these guys off the board so we know. So we have a good handle on what has happened. So Terrell, and again, Chris Johnson had recently come off the board, which was tough to see. The Bills moved back, I think, twice. Ted Hurst went 55th, which is big sad for that. Manuel, Caden, Pregnon. So again, I think it's going to be it's a little trickier. Christian Miller gone, so it's really comes down to like kind of Caleb Banks, if that's what we want to do. Manuel McNeil Warren, see ya. Lee Hunter, see ya. CJ Allen. It's like for Green Bay, this kind of shapes up like it's our guy. It's Cisse, potentially, which, you know, it is what it is. I think it makes sense. Mesidor, Golday, Trotter. Okay, so I think we are officially on the clock now. So we are on the clock. I have 4 picks to catch up here, and then it'll be us. We'll be moving. We can make a selection or two. So Golday, Trotter, go here. Golday, Trotter. Once we catch up, this will be really easy. Golday, Trotter, no Chris Johnson. He's gone. Caleb Banks went right before, and then the 2 that go before are Kyle Lewis and Chris Bell. So what that leaves is Cisse, Pons, right? Okay, now I have it. So if we look at what's available, Cisse, Pons, Ty Simpson, obviously still there, R. Mason Thomas, Jeremy Bernard, Keith Abney, Keontae Scott, Jennings Dunker, an option there. I think it's going to be kind of chalky with this. And as much as I would like to take Pons, as much as I would like to take R. Mason Thomas, because I think that's just juice that I don't think Green Bay has, we're going to go smart here. We're going to take Brandon Cisse from South Carolina. I'm going to let them know that that is the selection for Green Bay. And we get to put that in the chat here. We'll share this tab and we'll make the selection. Whoops. If only I could type, guys. That would be super, super impressive if I was good at typing. But yeah, so that's what we're doing there. I think that's fine. It's not my favorite thing. It's tough. It's tough threading the needle between like what I would like to do here and what okay, let's think about what Green Bay is interested in, because when you look at what was available, right, defensive tackle, I get it. Grayson Halton is somebody who's interesting there, and I think that he is, a player who's got a lot of upfield burst and could probably help them there. Do they want the nose tackle though instead? Like if they want the nose tackle, I don't think they have to make a move here, right? And so a lot of the edge rushers gone, in my opinion. I'm not big on Derek Moore. And again, I think plenty of people are. That's totally fine. I would have gone R. Mason if I was going to go edge rusher there. I think he blends that speed and bend. And it would be very effective, I think, early on. I think Derek Moore just kind of has more of the bull rush. And I know Denai Dennis Sutton, very, very Packery. We'll see how that goes. It's probably going to be the pick later. But yeah, I think there are just going to be options that, it's just not my favorite. I think Abney and Pons I like a lot better. Igbinosun was the thought there as well, but it just seems like everything kind of lined up for them to be picking Brandon Cisse, and we're moving right along, so we'll be able to keep up with how this is going, and we'll probably take our time and potentially kind of start talking about the trade that went down not recently. So Keelan Rutledge goes to Pittsburgh. Again, I'm not going to move a lot around. I'm just going to take them off of the board. But remember, a reminder that we'll be back here tomorrow, early morning tomorrow for Epic Mock. And D'Angelo Pons goes 54th there in the trade back. There's a lot of trades moving around. If you want to see this is, so there was a lot of movement. Philly moved ahead of us and took Chris Johnson. That was the easy one there. Would have loved to take to take Ponds instead. So it is what it is. It's tough. It's tough between, there was kind of that talk of like, hey, this is going to be, it feels a little more predictive, but there's always a little bit of chaos involved, right? Like the Giants and Cardinals, they swap picks early in this one with Styles going to the Giants. They didn't want to wait. Cardinals move back and get Ruben Bain. The Niners move up to get Casey Concepcion, which totally understand that. That is a massive, massive deal for them of getting anybody who can run the inbreakers in the offense, compete after the catch, dynamic separator, all of that good stuff. Really liked that. And then obviously the Cardinals move back in with, I think to the Bills spot and take Blake Miller. Dallas moved back and got Malachi Lawrence. So they got Malachi Lawrence and Kenyon Sadiq in the first round. Again, would have loved Ted Hurst, would have loved Malachi Lawrence at 52. Just didn't get opportunity. Didn't get the opportunity to take Banks even, to take that swing. Didn't get the opportunity to take any of the D tackles. I just, obviously, if we have enough people that file themselves in here like Chris, like we can make that pick together now after taking Cisse, and we'll make the rest of the picks together tomorrow morning for day 3. So yeah, keep it locked here. We're going to be, there's a lot to talk about. The Chargers just took Jennings Dunker. So that's somebody that, again, not going to be able to take in the third. I know Packers fans have been in on Dunker a lot, just in terms of the kind of, okay, he's played right tackle, but you kick him inside, and that's kind of what Green Bay looks for, which is, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Sorry, we've picked 3 since ours. Yeah, Jennings Dunker goes. Okay. Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock now. We're moving through this pretty darn quickly. So I would imagine that this is maybe just an hour stream. So guess we'll see. But appreciate those who are tuning in and checking it out. But yeah, the mock drafts have changed. Lots has changed for Green Bay. Now we got that extra 5th and an extra 6th next year. Might as well talk about it now a little bit about Dontavian Wicks and what that trade means. Let's see if I can find that really quickly here. But yeah, I am. Here we go. So yeah, really quick. Green Bay traded Dontavian Wicks today to the Philadelphia Eagles. To me, what that means for Philly is I do think there's like a post June 1st potential AJ Brown trade in the works here for them to have him move on, because they gave him a 1 year, $12.5 million extension pretty quickly, right? Like he's signed through 2027. So it feels like kind of a soft reload in terms of what they're going to do at receiver for Philly. For Green Bay, they need picks. They need as many swings at the bat as they possibly can, right, to kind of bring down that cap number and just, continue to have the influx of young talent into this team. A lot of 2022 and 2023 drafts aren't going to be sticking around because they went so well, right? Like even Jayden Reed might not be around. So like, Ted Hurst was somebody I was definitely considering at 52 anyway. And after this trade was very much in on potentially doing that. So yeah, Chris. Yeah. Yeah, they moved on from Wicks. And I don't think he's the last one. I think Reed, might be moving on after him, maybe after this season. So yeah, this changes a little bit in terms of what Green Bay's going to do in the draft. I think this could be 1 or 2 receivers. We'll see how the epic mock goes here and how we can address it. The Jaguars just took Darrell Jackson, which is I'm not broken up about that one really. But again, I think the short list, I think R. Mason Thomas is probably going to be one of these Bears picks here at the end of the second. But when we get up at 84, I've got some thoughts on what we can do potentially. So yeah, so for Green Bay now it's like, okay, you're locked into the 3 starting spots of Golden, Watson, and Reed, which I think is totally fine. Like I think Wicks had his moments, right? And as a separator, as kind of the option route guy from the slot at times, and like, flashing, winning the ball in the air, like all that stuff was flashing. And he did it his rookie year on top of it. It's just kind of just really never got things going into a clean rhythm and had opportunities, right? The Eagles game on Monday night, some plays he made, some plays he didn't. And so that's it's tough to see this young core get broken up, but like it seems like Green Bay is going to continue to do the let's load up at receiver every 2 to 3 years so that we kind of have this thing consistently churning. Because now I think Savion might get a chance to show what he can do with, not just in a gadget touch role. So I think that's fascinating, but I do think this team needs to think about what happens in 2027 as well in this draft with potentially no Jaden Reed. So makes it fascinating. We've got an extra fifth tomorrow, so that's, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think Savion's going to be somebody that we have to continue to watch and see how, if he can take more on going forward here. So yeah, I don't think they're leaving the draft without a receiver. I didn't think so anyway. So it doesn't change a whole lot. It's just another swing, and it kind of like gives Green Bay a little bit more flexibility to go, okay, we can address, one other thing that we'd like to, right? Maybe one of those, I have a feeling one of those 5th round picks ends up being a potential backup quarterback, right? So that's that with Dontavian Wicks, and I think they're, really excited about the receiver room. I was kind of excited that Wicks was going to still be on it because Wicks wears my favorite number. But, is what it is. We'll see. We'll see how that all shakes out. So, yeah, Savion does indeed need to step up. There's no question about that. So, yeah, excited to see. We have less than 2 weeks to the draft. We're going to see what the Packers end up doing with that extra pick. So, yeah, there really isn't the middle tier. And Wicks is kind of in that middle tier, right? Are you going to pay him 12.5? Like, do you really, or would you just rather continue to bring, just going to continue to bring these young guys in? I feel like that's, again, what Green Bay is probably going to be doing. So, it's fascinating. As we get back to this, Bears are still on the clock here. The Bears right now, they're in hibernation, right? It's tough to get rolling after a winter of hibernation for them and trying to get them going in this mock. So, yeah, guess we'll see what happens with them. Bears have been on the clock for almost 4 minutes, and that's the timer that we have set up for this. So, okay. Might have some movement here. Hang on. Anonymous Rhino might be typing. Let's see if there's a pick here. It doesn't look like there is. I don't know if they're tweeting the picks or not, to be honest. But, yeah, guess we'll see. So we talk about, Chris and whoever else. After going, okay, so Grayson Halton's one of the Bears picks. Got it. Cool. That's fine. It's probably going to be R. Mason. What else did they do? They took Alomu, I think, right? Or Proctor. Yeah, Proctor. So they've got Caden Proctor, Grayson Halton. I think that's a lot of upside swinging that they're doing there. But yeah, it's a shame. I really would have liked to kind of go, okay, this is what I would want to do here. But at the same time, I think it's more interesting to be predicting and try to be correct about how this goes. I feel like Cisse is not going to be really available when Green Bay picks, but he was in this occasion. And I hope, I don't know about y'all, I hope the Packers take D'Angelo Pons if he's available. I really do. That would be awesome if so. And obviously Lawrence and I think Akis, and it would be great if they took R. Mason Thomas. I wish I did, but I also realize that he's another 240-pound pass rusher who is kind of more in the like, hey, you're joining the rotation. Not totally sure about what early downs is going to look like. So that's the tricky bit of it, right? And so would love to add him, but at the same time, it's It's tough stuff. But what are we thinking right now? As of right now, we still look at this board. As the Niners sit on the clock, I'm going to shift this here. And what, Chris, you can chime in if you'd like. Obviously, Abney's still there at corner. So like if Green Bay, if we were to double down at corner, I think you take an actual corner. That boundary, that is, right? Abney, Igbinosun. Everett's very, very them. But we kind of got corner out of the way, which is good. Obviously, I think, the Cage Casey's, the Trey Zunes, those types, going to be available there in the third most likely. Linebacker, again, a very them selection, Anthony Hill, who I believe is still a pretty young player. Yeah, he's 21 and change at this point. Definitely a possibility. The Niners have just taken Derek Moore, so we'll pluck him off the board here. Derek Moore, bang. Houston might be ready to roll. Houston seems like they've been ready pretty quickly. So, Chris, what do we got? So with all the cap space created, I think he's seriously after Carter or Dexter Lawrence. Thoughts on that? Yeah, I feel like the Carter stuff, the high-end Jalen Carter stuff, is what we expected from Jalen Carter. There's no question about that. But the lower-end stuff does show up. It's not extremely consistent, which I think is something that I don't know what else is going on there, right? Philly could just be like, we don't like how he's working, and we don't like this and that. Like, if Philly's not interested in keeping him, that's kind of a red flag a little bit for me. Now, Dexter Lawrence, again, different story, because he's probably more on the downturn now, right? He's kind of on the decline a little bit at this point as he's reaching 30. But again, players like that, guys who can line up at the nose, head up one tech, all that stuff, and create pressure, right? Create pressure the way that Dexter Lawrence does from that alignment while also eating space. Those guys are pretty rare, right? You don't see a lot of the nose tackles like that, being able to create pressure at such a high level. Him, Vita Vea, I think Byron Murphy is fantastic right now in Seattle. So yeah, you just don't find those guys. So I understand the interest in Lawrence, but I get it. I mean, the high-end stuff of Carter, if he's really bought in, if he's going to, continue to stay on the straight and narrow, I don't think we've heard anything from him, in terms of anything off the field since he got to Philly, if I'm not mistaken. So I get it. I understand that, yeah, Micah and Jalen Carter rushing the passer sounds terrifying. But he's going to ask for a lot. That might be the, him and Lawrence are probably going to be both asking for, position resetting money. So it's a question if you want that, right? And I get it, because I think this class of defensive tackles is kind of like, Christian Miller's fun. Peter Woods is kind of meh. Lee Hunter's solid for a nose tackle. He gives you a little bit extra than some of these other guys do. And yet, I like him, but 52, I think there's just better options, right? Like, Caleb Banks, the feet and the movement at that size, that could cause some problems. Like, again, these big five and I didn't mention one of them, Banks. Oh, Caden McDonald. Caden McDonald's a brick wall. He's got to play with better pad level, all that stuff. I think there's a lot. There's still stuff he has to work on. He's still a young player, so can he get there? Yes, I think that's, I think that's something that's extremely possible, right? Or that he gets a little bit better and things develop because he's only 21. But like, again, I think he's probably going to be one of the first couple off the board, and I don't think Green Bay is going to get that chance. So it's tricky, because a lot of these DTs, where you look at them here, as we kind of got some time to look at these guys, when you look at Dominique Orange, I think he's fine. I think he's solid. Like, I don't think I'd be tripping over myself to be picking somebody like Orange or Benny or Corleone right at this spot, or McClellan or Keenan or Capehart, Regis, Durant, like any of these guys. Like, Anya Deem, I think, is interesting. I do think I am intrigued by what Anya Deem does. Vandenberg, very interested there as well, right? So there are guys, I think, further down the board where I go, okay, I'm interested in those guys. Why would I kind of be tripping over myself to go get one of these guys, in the top 100? And so that's where I like chasing guys like R. Mason Thomas, which again I wish I'd picked there, but again I don't think Goot's going to go after the 240 guy. You got a couple of them, got a couple of those types in the room right now, and I think they feel comfortable with it. I think he's much more interested in Dennis Sutton. No, it's an Adam Huddle guy. I think he'd be more interested in Kieran Crawford, guys like that. I obviously would love Jay Sean Barham. I don't expect Barham to last much longer in this mock draft. And we got R. Mason Thomas and Traden Stukes, the next two picks there. So let's get those guys off the board here in the correct order. R. Mason Thomas, Traden Stukes. Stukes is interesting. Keep thinking he's in the safety room, and he's not because he's a slot corner, but I think he's going to play safety in the league. And I think the Bears picking him there tells me that they think that as well. So Chris says that's my dream Miller at 52. Yeah, I mean, it's a good dream to have. Christian Miller falling to 52, I just don't know. I think there's going to be enough interested teams like here. I don't know if he went to this team, but he did go 38th in this epic mock. Let's check and see who it was to. It's just like how clean so it was to Houston at 38. He was the third defensive tackle off the board, if I'm not mistaken. McDonald goes at 36, 2 picks before that, and then I believe Peter Woods went 22nd. So I don't think he does. I would bet on him not falling there, to be honest. But, you never know with the draft. You never know. But I do think if I were running a team, I think I'd be picking Miller and McDonald as the first two guys for the Packers. So, or just any team, I should say. I would want those guys first at this point. Appreciate you catching the live, Lee. Hope all is well with you as well. Appreciate it. Hope you'll be around. Hopefully going to be multi-streaming. So if you want to watch it here or you want to watch on the regular channel for the draft itself in a couple weeks, I will definitely be there. Hope to see y'all there for sure. So yeah, I think it's always great to have everybody, coming back around and saying hello. It means a lot because I remember the day ones like you guys. So very much appreciate that, and hope you've been catching stuff over there, because there's been a decent amount of it. There's going to be a lot of it in the next couple of weeks, a lot of it. So starting tomorrow with some of, I would say some of the greatest hits of draft season. I would say so. Definitely tune in for that. So, which DT had the terrible RAS? Was it Woods? Well, we can look at Peter Woods' RAS, which I don't think. I want to say it's incomplete, but I don't think we have like a full. Oh no, we do have a full. Okay. So this was Peter Woods as of April 5th, with obviously some pro day numbers, which probably are a little inflated for sure. But again, he's 6'2.5", 298. So he's trying to slim down to play 3 tech, but I don't know if he's got I don't think the strikes are inherently powerful. I don't think I don't think he's really moving a lot of places. Like the shuttle looks good, right? I get that. So he's not a bad athlete. I don't think he's elite of elite. I think I think Lee Hunter, Chris, is the one you're thinking of for sure. This is what we're talking about here. Which again, I think, to me, very clearly, I don't know. The Vert and the Broad are probably exceedingly low, right? On that low end of wow, that's a little shocking. I'm not super shocked by the speed stuff for Lee Hunter, just because I think he gets out of the stance pretty high at times, and that's very evident. And so, not shocked there. A little shocked that the explosions were that low. But again, I think that kind of makes him tumble to the point of we were kind of talking about where Green Bay might not even pick him. Okay, Rams, Ty Simpson, Broncos, Jadarian Price, 2 more off the board there. Boom. Don't have to worry about running back, folks. And then Anthony Hill to the Falcons. That pick has been traded a couple times, I think. Or maybe it was just a straight up. Yeah, I think Atlanta moved back from 48, then 54, back to 63, and they took Anthony Hill. Again, a player I think Green Bay could be in on for sure if they're looking at linebacker early-ish in terms of second or third round. I think that's something they could be interested in. Obviously, again, they've been doing their homework on the running back, so Mike Washington, Keelan Black, right, guys like that. I think they definitely could have interest there too. Probably going to wait on linebacker, truthfully. Yeah, Atlanta does probably need another edge rusher. I do agree. They were probably looking. They were probably thinking about it, and didn't get that opportunity. So, but we are almost done with round 2 already. We've only been on for 36 minutes. I know it started about an hour and 10 ago, but we caught up pretty nicely. So yeah, round 2, unfortunately, was kind of like a greatest hits of guys that Green Bay fans, and we've kind of wanted it at 52 or 84 or later, right? Ted Hurst, McDonald's a favorite. Christian Miller, obviously a favorite. Lee Hunter was an earlier favorite. I think if C.J. Allen's available at 52, I wouldn't hesitate there. Akis is somebody we've talked about. Young, we've talked about, right? We've talked about the linebackers, Golday Trotter, Chris Johnson, Caleb Banks, right? Chris Bell is somebody that could be in play. So that second round was a lot of like, yeah, it's unfortunate. They've done a lot of that. So I don't know why we're editing that, but guess we'll find out. Could be a typo. Could be a typo in the picks. We'll see. But it is wild to be in this chat or where there's just this pick's available, this pick's available. Just potential trades are probably shooting around at all times. And yeah, so other news, NFL draft wise, if we want to just quickly think about that. This draft, Chris, is with the Draft Professors, which I do some podcasts with them weekly. There was a couple times where I did a couple times a week. I've done some mocks for them on a Friday and stuff like that, but it is through Draft Professor. I believe it is through, let's see, on YouTube, the full live stream where they're probably talking about every pick is just Draft Professor. And NFL Draft Fanatic, no I in Fanatic on Twitter is where you can probably find them tweeting out the picks, but that's who it's run through. They did this last year. I did not get the Packers last year, so I didn't really do a stream, but I did it for Carolina last year. I remember getting trying to think, Jahad Campbell, Jack Bash, we got Riley and Jonas Sanker, right? Got Josiah Stewart, so it was a decent little draft there. But yeah, so that's who the draft is with. Chris says, what do you think about Marvin Harrison Jr., Green Bay? You like, I bet. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to do this kind of when draft season's over, of taking a look at how the receivers especially have looked through 2 seasons, rookie seasons, all of that. We'll be talking about Golden a ton, I'm sure, this offseason on both YouTube and Substack, right? I think with Harrison, it's strictly like a catch technique based on certain, scenarios and where the ball is and jumping or not, that I think is his biggest issue right now, is building that confidence of all right, what's it look like when the ball is towards my midsection, right, towards my waist? What's it look like when I elevate for the football? What's it look like when I'm retreating and elevating, right? Do I need to go attack it more? Do I need to have a better kind of plan of attack at the catch point than what I used to do in college? Because he did clap a little bit, in terms of how you address the football, right? Because you going up, you want to be up and in sync with the hands. You don't want to come up with the hands and push them together. You want it to be up and together, not up then together. And so I think that is part of what the problem is for him. It's got to get fixed because I think the coverage recognition, the route breaks, the plan of attack, I think that's all there. He needs to play a little more physical, and he needs to just be better technically at the catch point. Like all of that stuff I think can get better for him. He's never going to be a great yak player. He just never is. That was never his strong suit, right? And that's sometimes, a little bit of a concern nowadays, right? When kind of, 15, 20 years ago, they weren't really concerned about what you did after the catch. They just wanted you to get open. They wanted you to win the ball, right? We're not really worried about these scheme touches where the yak is so important, right? And so all of that, I think, is, where it's like, okay, Marvin Harrison Jr., kind of that more throwback receiver, where it's like get open with the catch point, except he's just not winning the catch point enough at a high level at this point to go, okay, what about that second contract? So it may need to be a new team, fresh perspective for him, something like that. I would love it. Absolutely. I'd be in on that. So, but yeah, I really do enjoy the receiver stuff. That's why we're working through Ted Hurst and Skylar Bell and some of those boys, before the draft. So you can get a nice little look at them in depth as possible. I'll probably write up the top guys on Substack and do all that. So, plenty of that. I do. Yeah, I think, and again, maybe Mike LaFleur down at Arizona will get him going, right? Like maybe he'll get him going and figure it out for him. And hopefully he does, right? And he gets I think Brissett's a plenty good enough QB. I'm sure they're probably going to be one of the teams that going after Ty Simpson, right? Or Nussmeier or Aller or something like that. But I don't know. I do think it's possible he gets to where we think he can get to. So I'm going to catch up on some picks, Chris, and I'll answer that question for you. End of round 2, the Seahawks denied Dennis Sutton. Understandable. The Dolphins were at the top of round 3. Interesting. They took Chris Brazzell. And then the Titans took Keontae Scott. Slot corner, potential safety there. I feel like he's kind of got to be a nickel. But can I believe the Badgers let him walk? I'm assuming that's Skylar Bell, Chris, if I'm not mistaken. But I did see some good stuff. Some people were sharing some stuff of him against Cooper DeJean, where it looked a little clunky and kind of had to decelerate and almost fully stop at the break point. But it was against Bell coverage, so it worked just fine. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tricky. I'm not really super versed on the how Wisconsin and how that went there, but yeah, I mean, based on how I think he's pretty talented, I think there are still some like warts that he hasn't quite fixed. Especially in terms of like stem work and attacking the outside hip, especially to kind of stay adaptive. I think he is kind of more worried about just getting into the stem and playing with urgency, which is fine. Like he wants to play on time, which I think is really important at the receiver position. But I think he's got some stuff to clean up. Yeah, I mean it's tough when you see the Badgers let a guy walk like that, right? If you like the Badgers, and you see him do incredible stuff with a smaller school on top of it. Am I doing Derailed? That's the plan. I know Derailed's in like 27-ish minutes. I know Chris and JJ will be there. This is going a little bit faster than I thought. So, I mean, we don't have to stay on longer than like picking at 84, which is soon. So I might even be on there, not too long into when they go. So we might be chilling in that regard. AJ Halsey goes off the board here. Okay, that's good. Love that. Well, let's do a quick little update here and look at what we're looking at here in terms of players. Obviously QB we're not going to look at, but receiver Bernard Bell, Bryce Lance, who I think can kind of do that. No Surratt yet, which I think is interesting. Branch, I get it. Stribling, I know Packers fans have really latched on to Stribling. Understandable. He's kind of got that. Stribling kind of, again, almost like Golden last year, where it was like a pretty quiet year and then boom, November, December playoff, look at me. And so as long as he's not like just a vertical slot who can kind of work the vertical plane pretty well, which at times it kind of looks like just that, that's maybe my biggest concern. But yeah, not hard to see that he's ascending. I'm trying to remember what the age is. Can we get a look at that? Where are you? Yeah, so 23 and change. It is what it is. And obviously Skylar, I mean, we're talking about Skylar Bell, who's, going to be 24 before Stribling is. So, but some interesting names at receiver there. If we were to double down at corner, right, Igbenos and Everett still there. Good options. Offensive tackle, Tiernan, Bell, Crownover. Meh. I like Casey, Parker, Zune in kind of that order to kind of kick inside. If they want to get a true guard, I think there's only maybe one of those top few left. Yeah. Shrouth. Yeah. I mean, there are centers still available, right? Which is, I guess, not out of the realm of possibility. Again, Crawford, Barham, players to potentially look at there. And then obviously the guy that I'm concerned is not going to be available at all. Once we get down to it is as long as I'm not tipping my hand here, is Caleb Proctor. I think we're gonna pick him at 84 if he's available. Don't tell anyone. But no, safety's waning a little bit. Bug Clark could be interesting. I think Zune's going to be available. And it's just, I think, just a super clean selection there for us. So that's probably what we'll go. Unless Proctor's available, then we might do that. So we'll see. But I have a feeling just because I know these guys and everybody's pretty well versed. I have a feeling we're not going to get that opportunity to take Proctor, but we'll see. We've only got like 14-ish picks. But Claire and Abney are the next two. Let's get those guys done here. Abney, someone we were considering. Again, just a little bit smaller. He's I know it says 6 foot 190 here. He's really 5'11", 186. So again, just kind of not quite in that range that Green Bay often targets. Again, it's not even just like the draft in general, like for Green Bay in general, that always just it's a little bit outside the realm. And even Cisse, honestly, isn't quite there. Like Igbinosa might be the better fit. Like Cisse, the shuttle was not good. 5'11" and 3/4, 189. Like he's not even quite in that. Like, so it was a tricky spot. It was a tricky spot to be. Cleveland's going to do it, aren't they? Because we don't pick for a while. So every 4 minutes. So based on this right now, Chris, derailed, kind of looking at half hour late perhaps to derailed. But this has been going a lot quicker. Like this, they said up top, like, hey, 5 hours potentially, which I was like, 4 minutes. I think people will be ready. I mean, we got through round 2 in like an hour. So I expect tomorrow to be a slog, though. Oh, Oscar Delp. There you go. There's one of our guys. That's a tough one to see. That's a tough one to see. So we'll see if Washington's on it. They haven't picked since pick 7, I believe. So, and they are on it. It's Connor Liu. That was fast. Fast. Man. They're flying. Are there any corners you like in the third if Green Bay didn't get one at 52? Let me catch up really fast here with Oscar Delp, Connor Liu, and switch tabs. PFF hates this pick. It's so silly. Yeah, I think corner's tricky because I think Igbinosun's fine in terms of like. Like is a strong word for this corner class, to be honest. Will Lee, I don't mind Will Lee. I don't mind Igbinosun. I have my reservations with Dalen Everett, though I do think that's Dalen Everett at 84 is like very Green Bay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love it. Like Julian Neal's fine, but I'd rather have him on day 3. I don't mind him. I like what Hezekiah Massis does for Cal. I think he's just probably a little undersized. He's around 185. I would like him a lot. So I do like Devin Marshall, but again, I think he's more of a day 3 player. It's tricky. Demings is somebody who I know Green Bay's met with now, which I'm working on a video for here on all of the meetings and scouting them and giving some blurbs there. But like Demings to me transitions pretty poorly right now. And that's kind of my biggest concern with Demings is just he's around the ball, which is great, but I think transition wise, even if Gannon's going to be doing a lot of match stuff out of the zone looks, like he still needs to be able to transition, and I think that's a little tricky. Takario coming around to that, still wouldn't love it. I don't know. Igbinosun might be really the only one there who I'm like super in on at like 84, even just a little. It's honestly, to me, it's a tough year to need corner if you're going to stay within Green Bay's thresholds, right? It's a tough year to need DT just because I just don't think the class is very good. So they're in a bit of a tough spot, unfortunately. Everett equals Stokes? No, I think I don't think he's quite Stokes. I think Stokes is a little more physical, but I get what you like. The transitions for Stokes were a bit hit or miss, right? I remember breaking his game down. I think the first video breaking down a prospect for a team. I think with Everett, I think the tackling's gotten better. But yeah, I mean, it is still more of the flexibility. I think there's still some processing work to be done there as well. But again, he's 6'1 1/8, 196. Like that is, he ran the 4.38. Like that just fits really, really well with what they want Everett does. And so that's why I think it's very possible that just kind of he's their guy and they look at, again, and I think Edge was tricky. Could have gone, as I said, R. Mason Thomas at 52. Maybe should have, all things considered, would have been fun. But I think they're going to like Lawrence. I think they're going to like Akis. Zion Young they might like too. I don't know how they're going to feel about the Michigan guys. Derek Moore maybe, but like, again, I just think he's kind of a run-through you guy at this point. Doesn't really have a lot. And Barham, I think, should be used in a multiple sense of like play some linebacker, play some edge. I know that's putting a lot on his plate, but he plays so darn physical that I would kind of want him doing a little bit of Arvell Reese diet stuff there. So it's a tough spot to be. So Everett Stokes, I don't mind it. I really don't mind that comp, Chris. I guess I should say. Lee says, yeah, I'm in a similar boat. If Green Bay doesn't get a corner at 52, I can't find a mid-rounder. Yeah, it's like Devin Marshall, I think, is fine. Again, Neal is okay. He plays physical. Caro Davis is fine. I don't know. It's tricky, this corner class. Like maybe they do move up. Maybe they go get Chris Johnson, perhaps. If Chris Johnson doesn't go at like 32 to Seattle or something like that. Maybe they do go get Chris Johnson. Because, yeah, I mean, you look at, like, Terrell's falling now for Clemson, right? He's, the hamstring plus the bad time, whatever. There's a lot of talk about that. I mean, he fell to 33 in this mock that we're doing here. So, yeah, I mean, but when you think about Terrell, Pons, and Abney are just like undersized, and like I think they'd be really nice picks. But like I do think, is Green Bay willing to be flexible there? Is really the question. Like the corner class just doesn't shake out for them super well. Like even even Mansour Delane's 186. Like, I don't know if the Packers South, the Dolphins are going to be in on that. I don't know. Like, they might not be. Chris says Malachi Lawrence would be super fun. He would. He would be super fun. He really would. Would really like it. Oh, I got to give the Bengals Zachariah Branch here. I mean, what do we think about Elijah Surratt? Since you guys, since I'd love your guys' help. Like, he hasn't been picked. I don't know if he gets picked in the next several. Right? There's. Let's look at who's in front of us here. We looking who's in front. Buffalo. Maybe they could. Chiefs could. Cardinals probably not. Pittsburgh, they got Omar Cooper. I don't think they're going to take another. Tampa Bay probably not. Falcons took Anthony Hill, so they could still be in play. Colts probably not. So there are a handful of teams that could still be in. Let's figure out, what did the Chiefs do? Chiefs, McCoy, TJ Parker, and I think Lee Hunter. I think the Chiefs are the team. I think they're taking him right there. I guess I don't know how the Chiefs GM feels about Elijah Surratt, but Chris says no opinion. Fair enough. Lee Hunter says I like Bernard better, but I don't know if he fits. Yeah, I mean, Bernard, let's see if we got some numbers here. I mean, I think, let's put it this way with Bernard. Well, I mean, I think the numbers look pretty good overall, right? 6'1", 206. That's fine. Pretty good all-around player. Did all the drills too, which is good. 3-cone was good. So, like, he is a shifty player. Can be sharp when he plays more at tempo than high speeds. I think when it comes to Bernard, good zone receiver, reliable guy, can flash at the catch point. He's going to be, after the catch, he's going to be more of field vision, toughness kind of yak player than true difference-making, game-changing explosiveness, change of direction, make you miss, all that stuff. He's going to block, too. They block for him. They give him, Alabama gave him a bunch of design touches, right? I don't think the design touches make a lot of sense for him. I just don't think Green Bay has Savion for that. Bernard feels like a player who sticks as a receiver 4, receiver 5 in a room, contributes because he can block, reliable player, quick enough. And so I think that's kind of where I'm at in Bernard. And I'm like, I would kind of rather, I don't know about you guys, I'd kind of rather swing a little bit more, than maybe taking him at 84. But, like, again, I think he is going to contribute. He's going to stick around in this league. Well, Bills took Bryce Lance, which I know was initially the Saints pick. Saints move up to 33, I think, or 34 or whatever to get. And the Bills have moved back several times at this point, so it is what it is. But there goes Jeremy Bernard to Kansas City. So maybe Elijah Surratt is available. Let's get Bryce Lance and Bernard off the board. So Bernard goes to Kansas City. That's fascinating because I don't know if he can play boundary. Cardinals take Ramsey. That was quick too. Yeah, we're going to be on the clock pretty quickly here. The way we're moving at this point. Pittsburgh usually makes their picks extremely quickly as well. So okay. Yeah, I mean, with Kamari Ramsey gone, which I don't think is really somebody that was super interesting. Again, so Skylar Bell available. Yeah, I mean, Bryce Lance, I think it's, yeah, Lee, I agree. I think it's a long development track. Like, he can run fast, no question. No question. He can run away from people he's got the ball, no question. I think this is even more developmental than Watson was in terms of the route break transitions, in terms of he's jumping when the ball arrives, his hand technique's pretty poor, body catches it. Don't love all of that stuff. Think he's got a lot to figure out in terms of playing the position. Feels like a let's hope it works out in like year 3. And like again, Buffalo can just send him deep a bunch. That's fine. Like it can work, but yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be thrilled about that at 84. I wouldn't. Green Bay, I don't know. So right now the board for us, if we're just looking at like PFFs here, which again, just an easy way to look at it all. Skylar Bell, possibility, right? A possibility. Joshua Joseph's really productive, but again, kind of in that same R. Mason Thomas vein. Igbenogsen's still available. Hilarious. I love that. Big Citrus, obviously. Chris's guy there. Surratt. Again, Everett. You got Slaughter. You guys got Crawford. Again, I think we're swinging. So okay. Yeah, I do think you can. I do think there are guys where it's like, we could look down the board. Obviously, Stribling, somebody's interesting. Jacoby Lane, very young player who I think is still working on the sequencing stuff. I don't. Again, separation is not where it needs to be. I think for me at the moment. I mean, I don't think Cameron Dorner's on this, but I would think about picking him at some point in this thing. And then the kid from Illinois State. So to me, okay. So for those who are in here, let's think about this. Let's put Cage Casey on our board here. Let's put Trey Zune on it. Right? Put a couple of those guys there. I don't know if we want to look interior. We can. A lot of true centers. Less so some guards. I think Farmer's like okay. Or you take the Proctor swing. You take the Caleb Proctor swing. Because I think we can get a nose tackle later, personally. And I think Proctor's the guy to swing on. Or we look at Barham to potentially play linebacker and edge and fly around. You go get like a Kieran Crawford, perhaps, who's a little bit bigger. That's kind of the short list right now. I'd throw Bell on that short list. I wouldn't throw any of the tight ends or the running backs on the short list at the moment. Linebacker, I think Anthony Hill was kind of the last short list guy on day 2. Now, Keyshawn Elliott's very interesting. I know coverage grade. He's kind of the throwback, go hit a guy type of player. So, but let's see here. Okay, so we got some guys come off the board here, and I think. Wow. Okay. Lots of guys. We're flying. Okay. So we've got movement. Sam Roush, Shaquille Wheatley, Tim Keenan, Malachi Fields, the next 4 off the board here. So Tampa Bay gets a tight end. Interesting. Colts go Wheatley. Boy, we're setting up for Skylar Bell. I cannot believe that we're taking nose tackles and we're taking like bad separating catch point guys like Fields this early. And trade goes to Jacksonville. That was quick as well. Okay, so just a couple picks here. I mean, the O-line stuff is safe. Like the Trey Zunes, the Cage Caseys, like that is safe stuff. That's Green Bay to a T. Find a tackle play who played center and go get him. Or we take the Proctor swing. Right, we take the Proctor swing and come what may. I don't think we're going to move up into the third again, by the way. I think we're picking at 84, and that's going to kind of round out our night, which means go over to Derailed right after this. So JJ will be pleased about that. I'm going to let him know really fast. So, what do we think? I think the poll, does the poll thing work? Yeah. We'll get a couple votes in here. And let's go this. All right, let's create this. Okay. So we should be able to type in chat 1, 2, 3, or 4. And if you type 4, make sure you also say who you want, because we're going to get to this is I'm glad we can work this out. Interesting. 106. Or folks, okay. Oh, JJ coming in saying Trey Zune. We don't want Caleb Proctor, the last of the gentleman DTs. So, okay. Well, what do we think about this, guys? Got Houston talking to us about 106 and 141. Okay. 106, 141 for 84. I think we stay in pick. That's a long way to go. It's a long way to go back. But okay, Minnesota took Antonio Williams. So we're on deck here. I guess Elijah Surratt is also available. He is tumbling. Not sure why. But does anyone think we want to do the trade? I personally don't think so. But 103 and a 2027 third for pick 84. Some folks are like chomping at the bit. We should be able to really take their lunch money. 104. I feel no, but I agree. So we also got 103 and 2027 third on the table though. So we might be able to take the lunch money of some folks. In a little bit of a bidding war here. Even if you add their second, fifth. Well, let's stick. Has Carolina picked? They have not. So Houston must have another fifth, you said, after 141. Does Houston have another fifth somewhere? Presumably they do. Yeah, 167. Yeah. Okay. So, I think we pick. It's just a question of who we want to go get. So, I think the current options for us. Okay, since Carolina's on the clock, just checking. A lot of people want to move around. So, we have one for Trey Zune. Lee wants to do anything with O-line, so I think Trey Zune probably is our guy here then. Yeah, Wicks is gone. Eris, make sure you go over to Derailed here shortly after we make this third round pick, but come back here tomorrow morning. We'll be on the clock a bunch. So I think Trey Zune's the guy unless we want Skylar Bell or we go get the dude right here. I think it's Caleb Proctor or Trey Zune. I think those are the moves. Type 2 in the chat if you want Trey Zune. Type 1 if you want Caleb Proctor. 3 Skylar Bell. 4 somebody else. Okay. Still don't want early wide receiver, but okay, 5th and after. Yeah, there were a couple options. Elijah Surratt's still out there actually. We're kind of waiting on Carolina. Me a jump ball winner plus route runner. Well, might have a guy right here then. Might have a guy right here. Why are people coming in as we're about to be done? People are popping it as we're about to be done here, but do we want Elijah Surratt? Is this a player you want? He can wear 13. He can wear 13. Is that because Reed's route running is suspect? Just sub to you guys. Yeah, Zune's good. I think that's what we'll do then. It seems like nobody really wants to go the Surratt route, which is fine if we don't want to. All right, guys, everybody seems to want Zune, which I'm fine with. Convince me why it should be him and not Proctor. Because this is like the last of the gentlemen, like extremely explosive, big enough defensive tackles. Like, guy I would be swinging on right here. We're not going to get him. We're not going to get him otherwise. Zune, I don't know. Zune might be somebody who's still available. So it's just a question of if you want the pass rush, because, again, for those who don't know, for those who have kind of popped in a little later, we did take Brandon Cisse, which is kind of a little meh. Obviously, Pond's going later. I know you're going to look at that and go, what the heck? Like, it's more of a Packers thing. It's more of a Packers thing. And so, like, if we don't take Proctor here, DT becomes a kind of just figure it out with some 5th, 7th round selections. That's kind of what we're looking at to me. I think the last player I would pick before 160 is this guy here. Just because I think he has it. I think he has it. As a pass rusher, though, he's not going to defend the run. He's not great at that right now. He's not going to eat up space. But we can get those guys, right? Those guys are going to be available later. I'm not really concerned about that. It's more of, can we get the pass rush juice that we're looking for, right? We talked about, we're going to go trade for Jalen Carter. This is the guy you would want to go draft then, right? So it's either Proctor or Zune. I'm fine with going Zune. I understand that. I think it creates a really interesting scenario at 120 of what are we going to do? Right? We obviously still have edge rusher to figure out, but it's hard to say, okay, no offensive line, but at the same time, again, it's probably just which guy would you want? Because you're probably not getting the other guy. So, and I think, again, I know these guys, they're going to be all over Proctor. I don't know about Zune. Bo Stevens is Carolina's pick. So we're on the clock. So we do have a choice between those guys. So yeah, it's us now. And it's just a question, I think, with Trey Zune. The one question, right, would be, do you feel like he can play guard, right? He's logged center snaps and he's logged tackle snaps. Can he play guard? Or do we think Cage Casey is a better option to play guard, right? So, indeed. Okay. We gotta make the call. Let's take Trey Zune, folks. We're gonna make the Trey Zune selection. Tricky stuff. Tricky stuff. We know Goot's not addressing DT. All right, we're going to take Trey Zoom. Call it in. There we go. Okay. For those who are still here, chilling, appreciate you tuning in for this for day 2. It was a little bit of a kind of a all over the place. Got a lot to talk about. Derail, we're going to be talking pretty quickly here. I do think this is one of the guys. This could be Proctor. But it'll be interesting. We'll check in tomorrow. We'll see how the rest of round 3 goes. We'll have about 20-ish. Yeah, 20 picks until we go. It's going to be 9:30 Central, I believe. Let me double check on that. I don't like when it does this to me. Let me check this. We are 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. A lot of picks tomorrow. But we'll be on the clock then. So thank you guys for some input. Thanks for sticking around. We've gone Brandon Cisse, Trey Zoom. We've gone SEC. So that's where we're kind of at the moment. And yeah, come over to Derailed. We'll probably talk about it a little bit and see what the folks think over there. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you get a little bit out of this. We talked a little bit about everything. But again, appreciate Ayers Lee and JJ for stopping in quick, and Chris Ann for dropping some comments. This channel is not dead. We've got some mocks over here. Obviously, those are going to change, but we've got a couple big things coming out here before the draft. So make sure you got those notifications on. Hit thumbs up. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. But if so, see you over on Derailed. Thank you guys so much. And as I said, we will recap what we missed tomorrow.